Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the Jerry and Jerry Show. An early start for our program today. Hootie Ratcliffe had to change his schedule as a press conference that is traditionally, early afternoon, Hootie?
2 o'clock.
Generally 2 o'clock. Was moved to 11 a.m. So Hootie Ratcliffe's going to sprint from our studio in downtown Charlottesville, which is about 2 miles away from Scott Stadium, and head straight to an 11 a.m. presser with Tony Elliott, a 3-hour last-minute switch for a press conference for the head ball coach at the University of Virginia. And this coach, Tony Elliott, currently has a home record of 6-12 and 2-10 at ACC play. So one of the critical components this year, can the University of Virginia defend its home turf? And it starts Saturday with live action against the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. They are 12-point underdogs, depending on where you shop. Where I shop, 12-point underdogs as of this morning. 6 o'clock kick, ACC Network. Some big-time matchups on the docket, ladies and gentlemen, including the Clemson Tigers and the LSU Tigers, the Florida State Seminoles and the Alabama Crimson Tide, and Virginia Tech and South Carolina tango in hot Atlanta on a neutral site with the Gamecocks an 8-point favorite. We have live action, baby. Live action. Judah Wickhauer behind the camera, studio camera, and then a two-shot as we welcome the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, a man who needs no introduction, always distinguished, always dapper, Jerry Ratcliffe. T-minus 1 hour and 9 minutes until a presser with Tony Elliott. Jerry Ratcliffe.
Yeah, it's caught us all a little by surprise, so I'm sure everybody had to adjust their schedules. By the way, I really like that shirt.
Thank you very
got
much.
On today.
An ode to one of your favorite golf tournaments.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to believe football season is here. We're only a few days away, and I think things are looking bright for the Cavaliers, and he has a chance to improve on that home record with the way the schedule's set up, and certainly no better way to start than to start Saturday night.
I'm going to ask Hootie Ratcliffe, can this team start 4-0 going into a big-time matchup at the end of September with the Florida State Seminoles, a Friday night matchup on national television? That'll be a conversation we have with Jerry Ratcliffe. But we start every program with scatter shooting with the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. My friend, the show is yours.
I'm just I think everybody is excited to see and anxious to see Chandler Morris in action. We've heard about him for months and months and months, and saw a little bit of him in the spring, but I'm sure they held some things back. So we'll get to see everything about Chandler Morris. I don't know. They may hold something back in that game unless they have to unveil it. They may want to not show NC State everything in the opener if they can avoid it. So, but I'm just excited to see this guy and see what he can do.
I'm excited for Chandler Morris. I have it as a headline in the rundown. How good is this guy? On paper, it looks like a significant upgrade versus the Tony Muskett, Anthony Calandria era. How significant? What's the delta? What's the gap between Morris and the previous gunslingers?
Yeah, well, I didn't get to see. I don't think it was on television. I looked everywhere and couldn't find it. But Anthony Calandria played pretty well, and for Vegas, he didn't start, but he played a lot in that win that they had last Saturday over, who was it, Idaho State or somebody like that, and he played pretty well. So good for him. But I think Chandler Morris is an upgrade. Guy's got tons of experience. As we've said before, he played at Oklahoma and TCU and North Texas State. He had nearly 4,000 yards passing last season and threw the fourth most touchdown passes of any major college football quarterback in America, only behind Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, and Cade Klubnik. And two of those guys are in the NFL right now, and I'm sure the other one will be after this season. So I think Tony Elliott has himself an experienced signal caller who's with a high football IQ, who makes good decisions and has all the throws and plenty of experience. I think he's a pretty cool cat. under pressure, and so I expect big things from him.
Anthony Calandria guys and UNLV in their opener beat the Iowa State Bengals.
Oh, okay.
Or Idaho State. Bengals.
Idaho State.
The Idaho State Bengals, 38-31. And as Hootie Ratcliffe very accurately described, Anthony Calandria, who split time for head coach, and folks will know this name, Dan Mullen.
Yep.
He was the clear-cut better quarterback in the opener. Calandria finished 15 of 21 for 195 passing yards. And get this, Anthony Calandria, an additional 93 yards on the ground and 13 carries. We saw a lot of that chutzpah, that athleticism, that playmaking ability in Charlottesville. And I'll tell you what, I have no ill will. I would love to see Anthony Calandria go bananas and be the player of the year in his conference. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a good kid. I can't say that I blame him for leaving. I think
I don't blame him at all.
I think his feelings were tremendously hurt.
He was scapegoated in that Virginia Tech game
when he was benched for that game, and I can't. I don't really hold any resentment toward him at all. I wish him the best. I hope he ends up having a fabulous season.
Me too. We'll talk Virginia football. Coastal Carolina, what can we expect? 12-point underdogs, Coastal Carolina.
Well, I think they're going to come in and throw the heck out of it. New offense, and the air raid offense is great if you have the personnel. I'm not that familiar with their personnel. Obviously, they've brought in a ton of new players like just about everybody else. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know one of their quarterbacks was injured in the training camp. I don't know if he was going to be the starter or not. So I'm not that familiar with their personnel. But again, the air raid is great if you have the people to run it. But if you don't, it's just kind of a desperation tactic, and you hope to make the best of what you've got.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Put them in the feed. I'll relay them live on air on the Jerry and Jerry Show, and comments are coming in already. This is an interesting one from Lynchburg. Please ask Jerry what he means that by they won't show the entire playbook when it comes to Chandler Morris.
Well, I don't know that they will in the opening game if they don't have to. It depends on how the game flows. If they get off to an early lead like they did last year against Coastal, they may keep things more vanilla so they don't have to show NC State, next week's opponent, a lot of stuff. The whole playbook, I doubt, is even in right now, but a good part of it is. But I'm sure they'd like to save a few surprises for NC State if they can, because that is the game I think that's going to determine, as you asked earlier, if they will go 4-0 early in the season to kick things off. But NC State, even though they're coming off a losing season, they're kind of dangerous. I read the other day where Dave Clawson, the former Wake Forest coach, said that he expects big things out of State because the one thing he has learned about State coach Dave Doran is that when he has a bad season, he always finds a way to bounce back strong the next year. So this is the next year, and they open up against East Carolina, who they lost to in the bowl game this weekend. So
on Thursday. Under the lights, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
NC State's a 14-point favorite. That's a Thursday night kickoff for the Who's to watch.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big game.
Yeah. East Carolina hates NC State.
Yeah, no love lost.
Yeah.
And that goes back decades and decades. And there's nobody in the world I think East Carolina would rather beat than NC State. And
this goes beyond rivalry. This is like socioeconomic, demographic rivalry.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, this isn't just about football. This is about these people think they're better than us.
Yeah, and that's the vibes we always got on the old ACC football tour. Carlton Tudor, the late excellent columnist for the Raleigh News and Observer, was a former Pirate, and he would always explain to the rest of us how much that rivalry meant to East Carolina. And I've covered a couple of those games in another life, and there's some fierce fierce competition going on in that game, and most of that fierceness is coming out of East Carolina.
Yeah, East Carolina. East Carolina at NC State Thursday night, 7:00 kickoff. ACC Network, the Wolfpack a 14-point favorite as of now, depending on where you shop. The over-under at 61 and change. Watch that contest. Hootie and I in agreement that Week 2 matchup, UVA, NC State, and Raleigh in Week 2, extremely important for this season, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you beat NC State and Raleigh, goodness gracious, Hootie, you very well could go 4-0 going into the Florida State matchup. We got a glimmer and a glimpse of Stanford already, and the Stanford Cardinal. That's the Week 4 matchup right before Florida State.
I watched the game very carefully, and Stanford did not look like a great football team.
Stanford looked bad. They jumped out to an early lead and still could not hold it.
No, Hawaii jumped. Hawaii handed them essentially 10 points.
Yeah.
Botching a fair catch on a kickoff, and then the quarterback getting strip sacked for a touchdown in his own end zone, and still Stanford couldn't hold on and win. And I don't know if Hawaii's supposed to be a really good football team or not, but I know they have a quarterback they value, but I didn't see anything that blew me away from the Rainbows either. So I think Stanford and Frank Reich have a lot of work cut out for them.
Frank Reich, Andrew Luck, Stanford Cardinal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, goodness gracious. I watched some of that game as well. They did not look good.
No,
they did not look good. So you know, and I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse. Virginia's got the Chanticleers on Saturday. But ladies and gentlemen, Coastal Carolina, William & Mary, NC State, Stanford before a Florida State matchup. I almost have an expectation of 4-0.
I would, accept.
You don't feel good about that NC State
I still
game.
think the NC State in Raleigh is usually a little bit different animal. They're hard to beat, and Virginia has struggled against NC State for years. They had them beat up here a couple of years ago, and then Anthony Calandria and had the dumb penalty with taking his helmet off, and then I think there were another couple of botched penalties late in that game that cost him the game. But
that was the first year Anthony Calandria.
Yeah, but NC State is typically tough to beat at home, and Virginia's going to have to go in there and play an almost flawless game, I think, to be able to win that contest.
Tim Bates asking the question that a lot of us are wondering. Tim Bates, we appreciate you watching the program. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. He's in Evington, Virginia. He says, fellas, how soon will we as fans be calling for the offensive coordinator to be replaced? I have to admit that he's been suspect at best. I think the suspect at best statement is fair. I think questioning Des Kitchings is fair. I will say this. He's got a lot more talent on paper right now, Des Kitchings, than he has had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, he's got playmakers all over the field. Again, having talked to him a lot over the past 3 years plus, he believes that having a solid tight end is the whole key to running his offense properly, and they're leaning heavily on Dakota Twitty to make that happen because, Twitty had some nice plays last year at times late in the season. He's a big, rangy kid, a former wideout who can play tight end or the other 3 wide receiver positions if he has to. And he's a guy that, if he's doing his job properly, they don't have to substitute. And that means the defense can't substitute. And that can weigh heavily on what Des Kitchens is calling and what Chandler Morris can play call to, because he has the power to change a play to the line of scrimmage and get them out of a bad play. But, Des Kitchens has a proven quarterback. He has the best offensive line on paper that Virginia's had since probably 2019. He's got a stable of running backs. He's got a stable of wide receivers. And if Twitty can hold down that tight end spot, there's no excuses for this team not having a good offense, which would be in contrast to what they've fielded the past 3 years. They've had trouble scoring. They've had trouble in the red zone. They move the ball well between the 20s, but once they get down inside the 20-yard line, they have struggled, and that has held this team back tremendously for 3 years, just being unable to put points on the board.
I mean, think about it. When's the last time they've had a go-to red zone target? Was it the tight end Woods?
Yes.
The tight end Woods,
Jelani Woods,
who's in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was a Bear.
And he was just here for a year.
Right.
So, but, yeah, that was the last time.
That was the last time. And you can't really say that they've had a quality
Tyler Neville was, I'll give him credit, was pretty effective.
The Harvard transfer.
Yeah, the Harvard transfer, who just got cut by the Cowboys, by the way. But he still wasn't a dominating guy at that position.
Mr. Perkins also cut.
Yeah, I was sad to see Bryce Perkins got cut by the Carolina Panthers yesterday. I was hoping he might be able to stick, and I think he's good enough. I think he just has to find the right club where they need him, and he fits their system better than maybe he did at Carolina.
He would strike me as a phenomenal scout team quarterback.
Absolutely.
I mean, where he could run. I mean, he's so athletic that he could morph into whatever quarterback they needed to on the scout team.
Yeah.
But we're talking red zone. Without an offensive line, the power running game hasn't been there. Really haven't had a power tailback. You know what I would love to see with this Coastal Carolina matchup? I'd love to see UVA run a boring vanilla offense, establish the run, and overpower the Chanticleers by running the football.
And that's what they were able to do last year down at.
That's all I want to see.
In Conway.
So you don't show anything for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, and who knows? Perhaps they'll do just that. Certainly, I'm sure they're going to give that a try. But
keep their offense off the field, just run the football, and show nothing.
Yeah, that would be ideal. And that way, NC State's going to be guessing even more in their preparation for next week's game. So I'm sure they'll let Chandler Morris loose a little bit just to make him comfortable in the passing offense. But still, if they can dominate on the ground, I expect them to do so.
Kevin Yancey says Florida State's going to snap UVA back into reality.
Well, that's very possible. If Florida State is as good as advertised, they certainly weren't last year, and I know
Florida State's unranked.
Completely different year.
Yeah.
But they continue to bring in a lot of talent, spend a lot of money, and it's just a matter of whether Mike Norvell can do anything with it.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. I put the stat in the headlines. Tony Elliott in Charlottesville as the head coach of the University of Virginia football team, Hootie, is 6-12 at home. He is 2-10 in ACC play at home.
Yeah, and that's why he has found himself in such a quandary, and this is a must year for him and his staff. Is they just you've got to be able to win at home. It's harder on the road, and we saw Bronco Mendenhall's program turn around because they were able to win home games, and there was a stretch of nearly 4 years where they won, I think, 22 out of 25 home games. And I mean, if you can do that, your program can turn around a lot quicker. So, and it's not like he hasn't put an emphasis on it, but I just don't think he's had the the talent.
He doesn't have the horses
to get it done, and now he does, and let's see what happens.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Comments continue to come in. Can Hootie offer more insight into the tight end position? Him emphasizing it's so important for this offense.
Well, again, it goes back to you can do a lot more offensively if your tight end doesn't have to come off the field in terms of what formations you use, what play calling you have, and how it forces the defense to if you don't have mass substitution on offense, then the defense has to keep, and you run a fast up-tempo offense, which Virginia is very capable of doing, and the tight end stays in, and the defense has to keep their personnel on the field. The defense can't switch personnel, and so that's to your advantage if you know what their weakness is and what you're trying to attack. So Tony Elliott calls him the glue, like Judah's our glue man. The tight end is the glue man in that offense, and it just allows your offense to have an upper hand, and because simply the defense has to keep the same personnel on the field, and they can't bring in more defensive backs or less defensive backs or whatever they have to try to adjust to stop your offense.
This comment comes in, dang it, you guys started early and I've already missed the show.
Not the whole show.
It was out of our control, viewers and listeners.
Yeah, sorry about that, but yeah, sometimes you got to adjust on the fly.
Let them know why.
For those of you tuning in late, actually,
they're actually turning in early.
You're actually turning in early. Right. We're early because Virginia moved up Tony Elliott's press conference, weekly game week press conference, from 2:00 to 11 a.m. And so all the media that covers that event had to adjust their schedules today, and we were one of them. So that's why we had to start early.
What's a press conference look like? Give us the behind the scenes as a media Hall of Famer. What's a press conference look like behind the scenes? And then what's a press conference look like behind the scenes when you have live action that week versus no action?
Well, the press conferences we have with Tony and his staff during training camp, we used to do them in the George Welsh indoor facility. He would come straight off the practice field, he or his coaches, to a little table set up, and we would surround the table and would just ask questions for 20, 25 minutes, half an hour, something like that. Now that the Hardy Football Center is in full operation, we've been doing those press conferences up in the team meeting room, which is upstairs. It's a vast room. The entire team has luxurious padded seats in there with big TV screens that the coaches can use to review stuff. But Coach Elliott will come in and take center stage at a table, and we're on the first couple of rows there in that room. And you have a couple of sports information or sports media information personnel there with microphones who hand them out to those asking questions, and that usually goes for about half an hour. Coach Elliott always gives, and his assistants always give thoughtful, insightful answers, and joke around a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And it's not like it used to be when we used to have all the newspapers, a healthy newspaper industry in the state. Now there's only one or two newspapers that show up.
I mean, who covers the team now? Is it Times-Dispatch and the Roanoke Times?
Times-Dispatch doesn't even have a Virginia writer anymore.
So is it Roanoke Times and Teal?
Roanoke Times doesn't have one.
So is it just Teal?
Teal doesn't show up for the training camp stuff. He may be there today. For
So it's
the press
Greg at the
conference.
Daily Progress. That's it.
That's the only newspaper that shows up.
Unbelievable.
Unless the Washington Post would show up, which is rare.
Yeah.
So it's mostly.
Is Marty at 29 still?
Somebody told me that Marty retired.
I think.
I may have missed that, but
I think he's. I don't know either. Yeah. I don't
somebody
wanna say.
told me that, but I haven't seen Marty lately, so I think that's true.
I've heard
and it's
that
a
as
shame because Marty does a good job.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a terrific guy.
Yeah.
And so you'll have the two, one or two local TV stations. You'll have several .com people, including myself, and one or maybe two newspapers, and that's pretty much it. It's a really smaller crowd. They used to have 15, 20 reporters there from various companies, and now it's just only a handful. So, but that's what it's like these days. Not just here, but probably just about everywhere.
Here's a follow-up question here. How to the point are the questions asked of the head coach in regards to performance, key performance indicators and struggles of late?
Yeah, I think today's media is not quite as aggressive as they used to be when you had professional reporters from with a lot of them with journalistic backgrounds, either from college or from working their way up through small newspapers to larger newspapers. Sometimes it even got contentious with coaches. There'd be some somewhat rather nasty exchanges at times. You don't see much of that anymore. I think most of the people don't want to test the coach too much. But there are direct questions about performances, and not only from players, but about coaching strategies and why did you do this? What was your thinking behind this decision? So it's not completely milquetoast, but it's a lot less back and forth than it used to be back in the day when the industry looked a lot different than it does now.
Viewers and listeners, continue with comments. We'll get to your comments. I have some questions for Hootie Ratcliffe, guys at JerryRatcliffe.com. And in your eyes, keys to the game here against Coastal Carolina?
I think Virginia just has to come out and run their game plan, and I imagine it will be they like to run a balanced attack. So even if they are successful running the ball, which I'm sure they will test Coastal Carolina significantly early to see what they can do, because they couldn't stop Virginia last year, and I can't imagine things have changed a whole lot. The one thing I've noticed a lot in the difference between FBS and FCS programs is a lot of times the FCS programs don't have as much defensive personnel, and sometimes they put a lot of their resources into acquiring offense, and so sometimes they're more vulnerable, I think, defensively, and I think Virginia will try to exploit that first with the running game. But again, I think even if they are successful, I still think they'll give Chandler Morris a chance to throw it around the yard, and just to get him comfortable in that phase of the offense, because certainly he'll have to next week. I think I think Virginia will be very aggressive on defense. I think John Rudzinski has some guys who can put the pressure on the quarterback, and if Coastal is in a true air raid offense, which it sounds like they are, I think he will test that early to see if he can rattle their quarterback and force them into making some mistakes. and it'll be a good test for his secondary too. I'm sure he with all the candidates he has in there in the secondary, he wants to see if these guys are good at defending an all-out passing attack.
This is a very good comment from our friends in the Atlanta area. Can you offer a Cam Robinson update?
We'll get one this afternoon. I suspect things haven't changed. I don't think he'll play.
I mean, there's talk that he could miss, the chatter is he could miss weeks of live action.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how that injury heals. He's got a plate and screws in his collarbone. And
I mean, guys, think about a
sometimes
collarbone
those
injury.
Sometimes those things take time to heal.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's a football player. He's got a collarbone. That's the point of impact.
Exactly. And he's one of those
He's
guys
physical.
that doesn't hold
Right.
back. And even though he has a high threshold for pain, they don't want to jeopardize him in the early portions
Right.
of games that they probably should win without him.
I mean, from my standpoint, you let him recover to Florida State.
Yeah, I think that would be the wise thing to do.
It's a collarbone, for God's sake.
If there's any question whatsoever, I think you don't play him because you're jeopardizing. I mean, he's just a junior, so you're jeopardizing a lot of things if you play him early and then he re-injures that collarbone.
Yeah, I mean, look at give the kid a break to Florida State. I understand the NC State game is important, but patience is
still a non-conference game.
It's still a non-conference game. Patience is a virtue. It's a non-conference game. Exactly. Comments continue to come in for Hootie Ratcliffe. This is an interesting one. Has there been a clear-cut starter at the running back position?
Again, we'll find out today when the two deep comes out, and I imagine they'll probably. I imagine Xavier Brown or Jamari Taylor will be the starter, and it will probably say on the depth chart Xavier Brown or Jamari Taylor, and it could even say or Whaley, the kid from Wyoming. But I expect it'll be one of those two. If not both of them sharing a lot of carries early in that game. But I wouldn't be surprised if they run all four running backs in that game if they're successful running the ball against Coastal.
I'd love to see Xavier Brown get 15 to 20 carries a game.
And he very well may. If he
showed glimmers last year.
He certainly did. I mean, he had some spectacular performances, even though he still didn't get over 500 yards, but I'm anxious to see Jamari Taylor. He looked pretty good in the spring, and some of the people over there have commented that he can that he might be as good as anybody in the ACC. I don't know about that because there's some really good running backs in the ACC, like Isaac Brown from Louisville, who blew me away as a freshman last year, but. I think we'll see both of those guys probably get significant carries in the game this week.
Jamari Taylor is a tank at 5'9" and 200-plus pounds. This is the young man who transferred from North Carolina Central, who was so coveted as a transfer portal prospect that Virginia Tech sent an assistant coach to recruit him during a football game, much to the anger and boiling temper of the North Carolina Central head coach. Other keys to victory here for Virginia?
I think, just the typical stuff. Don't turn the ball over and try to control the line of scrimmage.
Win the third quarter?
Yeah, I think there'll be some emphasis on coming out of the locker room more effectively than they did last year when they struggled with that mightily. And I'm sure he wants to put that to rest for this season. And defensively, I think Coach Red wants to push these guys. I think he believes he has some real talent on that side of the ball and some guys who can pressure the quarterback. And that's something that's been missing from his defense for a couple of years. And I think he wants to test that early to see just how good and effective these guys can be.
I totally 100% agree. Virginia, guys, is a 12-point favorite as of today, Tuesday morning. That line may or may not move. I think it opened at 11.
11, I believe. I've seen 11.5 and 12. So
I saw it as high as 12.5 last week. So that line is moving about a point and a half, or at least it has so far. It's a 6 o'clock kick. It's on the ACC network. It's Saturday. It's a big-time contest. We encourage the viewers and listeners who are diehard fans of college football to watch East Carolina and NC State. That's this Thursday night, 7 o'clock on the ACC network. NC State's a 14-point favorite. NC State, the Week 2 matchup for these University of Virginia football team. Other comments I want to throw to you, which I'll get to you. I'll get to Hootie in a matter of moments. We are going to talk some other noteworthy games, including Virginia Tech and South Carolina. That's a Sunday ESPN matchup. The Gamecocks an 8-point favorite. That's at a neutral site in Atlanta. South Carolina most likely would have been a more significant favorite than the 8 points if that game was on their home turf, but it's at a neutral site. Here's a great question. Jonas Sanker was the clear-cut leader of the secondary and perhaps the clear-cut leader of the defense. Is there a Jonas Sanker on the defensive side, Jerry Ratcliffe?
Well, it would be Cam Robinson if he was healthy, but with him out, that's a good question, and I'm not certain who might have taken. I think there's a lot of guys that are probably jumping in that leadership role, but I think Trey McDonald, a really good linebacker, senior, smart guy, played at the Baylor School in Chattanooga. I think he's certainly a guy. I'm sure Antonio Clary, a seventh-year guy, defensive back. I think he's back at practice now. I think he'll probably be one of them. I'm not sure about some of the transfers that have come in because we don't know that much about their leadership skills, but we'll probably hear more about that this afternoon or this morning when we talk to Coach Elliott about who may be the leader on that side of the ball.
I see business owners watching the program. Friends of mine that own businesses watching the program. I can't emphasize how important it is for this Virginia football team to do well. And there's so many folks in the business community that say we count on these 7 weekends a year. And the last handful of years, it has not yielded what we had expected when building our budgets for the year.
Yeah, some of the advertisers I've had through the years on my website share those same sentiments that they depend heavily on those football weekends for success in their business, restaurants and sports gear.
Sports bars, breweries, restaurants, vineyards, wineries, hotel years.
Yeah, the whole gamut. And so, that's important. This town is completely different when there's a buzz about football in the air. And we've seen that off and on throughout the decades. And I remember being down on the corner, hanging out at Mincer's, doing a book signing a few years ago, back when Virginia was having some success in football, and a beautiful Saturday afternoon, there'd be just waves and waves of fans in town, and that makes a big difference in the economy here. And so hopefully that'll return.
Yeah, amen, brother. Amen. Virginia Tech, South Carolina. Their head coach, the Hokies, fighting for his job. Neutral site in Atlanta. South Carolina's got a really good football team.
Yes, they do. And they just got a key personnel guy declared eligible this week, too, I think, a running back. So that will only make them even better, I think. Shane Beamer has done a marvelous job with the Gamecocks.
He's a good coach.
He's got that program soaring. And I imagine, I guess it's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
That's right.
That place will probably be buzzing too, because Tech fans usually support well on the road, and I know South Carolina does. So I would imagine a full house down there. Big game. Shane Beamer, a lot of people would like to see him become the next Virginia Tech football coach. I don't know if that would happen. I don't know if I would want to follow in my dad's.
Well, he even says it in the Netflix documentary. He said, one of the reasons I went to South Carolina is I didn't want to be Frank Beamer's son.
Yeah.
Like, that was literally what he said.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but yeah. I'm not surprised that he did say that. I mean, that's we've seen that happen a lot in football and basketball.
But I will say this: if Shane Beamer is, and I would imagine if Brent Pry struggles this year, that Brent Pry is probably going to get fired. And if Virginia Tech fires Brent Pry, they will make an effort to get Shane Beamer.
I would imagine they'll roll out the Brinks truck.
The Brinks truck. I was going to use your language here. The Brinks truck for him.
Yeah.
If Beamer considers the Tech job and is able to resurrect Virginia Tech, because under Fuentes and Pry, they have become mediocre, he'd walk on water and take a few loaves and feed the hundreds.
This is true.
And he could do that. And there's a hell of a lot less competition in the ACC and Virginia Tech than there is in the SEC at South Carolina. And there's still the playoff opportunity with Virginia Tech and the ACC.
Yeah. Those are very good, valid points, something that he would have to weigh as in his decision. But I'm sure that South Carolina would also back up a Brinks truck to keep him. And unless they don't have a great year this year, but they should be pretty good.
They should be really good.
So yeah, that may be a decision he has to make. It's probably be the hardest decision of his life.
Hardest decision
would be my guess if it comes to fruition. But it'd be a nice situation to have if you have to make a decision like that, that's for sure.
And Rashul Faison is the running back you're talking about, just declared eligible. He's a seventh-year running back, the number 5 tailback in the ESPN 100 transfer portal, a seventh-year tailback. So the rich just get richer with South Carolina. LSU and Clemson.
Yeah, that should be a heck of a battle. A lot of people think that if Clemson wins this, they can run the table. And some people have picked them to be the favorites to win the national championship. So I'm sure Dabo and his people this is supposed to be a loaded Clemson team like the ones from years ago when they were a dynasty in the ACC.
This is number 9 versus number 4.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
It really is, and Clemson's going to be hard to beat at home, that's for sure.
7:30 ABC.
Yeah, I would lean toward Clemson in this one, and
Me too.
It should just be a fun game. I mean, it really should be a fun game. I want to definitely watch this game.
Saturday night, LSU at Clemson. The Tigers, ladies and gentlemen, are a tight, squeaky 4-point favorite right now.
Might have to record this one to see it because it probably starts at 7?
7:30. So you're going to be catching the tail end as you walk out of Scott Stadium.
I may not even see any of it.
One more I want to throw to you, Hootie. I want to throw to you Alabama and Florida State, 3:30 Saturday.
Well, I think Alabama is probably underrated from what I've studied, and I know a lot about the Crimson Tide. I've been a Alabama fan since I was 10 years old, but I think Kevin DeBoer has a lot to prove this year. I think they were upset that they didn't live up to expectations last year, and from what I understand, they've got some really, really good football players on that team this year. They may not have a star at quarterback, but I think Alabama might win this game by a few touchdowns if Florida State's not if they don't bring their A game. And I haven't been a big believer in Castellanos, is that his name? The
Boston
quarterback.
College transfer.
Yeah.
Me either. Undersized.
I just have a feeling that he has riled the Crimson Tide in the offseason with some of his comments.
Why would he say that?
And may pay for it.
So dumb to poke the bear. And the Crimson Tide are not just the bear; they're the grizzly. And Castellanos, the Boston College transfer, was talking some smack over the summer. Closing thoughts, Hootie Ratcliffe at the 10:32 marker with your press conference. Actually, now 27 minutes away.
Yeah, I'm got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited that football's finally here. I'm tired of writing about the preseason.
Me too,
and
brother.
I'm sure everybody's tired of reading about it. So a few more days of this, and then we'll have live action.
Jerry Ratcliffe, guys, at jerryratcliffe.com. We had a different time for today's show because of a press conference moved from 2 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Back at 10:15 next week. Jerry Ratcliffe, jerryratcliffe.com. Judah Whitcower behind the camera. Yours truly, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille show at 12:30. So long, everybody.
Thank you, brother. Again, appreciate you guys.